What do you think is coming next in this world? Where are we a year from now?
World War III this year. There'll be another assassination on Donald Trump, an assassination attempt. The stock market will roll over. We'll see 3,300 on the S&P 500. That's 2,000 points from where it is today. It's going to be nasty, bro.
Grant Cardone, man, welcome to the podcast. Let's just jump in from the start. Why do you think you have been able to tap into a deeper, more relentless state of drive than anyone else?
Pain, bro, pain. Like I wanted to get out of my situation so bad. I remember when I was a young boy, I had a psychiatrist tell me that I had a problem. You have a compulsive obsessive personality. You have ADD, ADHD, bipolar. I mean, he went down the list, bro. I heard more acronyms in 10 minutes. And I looked at the guy, I walked out of his office. I think he charged me for an hour, but it was only 50 minutes. So I knew it was a scam and wanted to put me on meds. And I walked out of that office saying, I am going to prove this dude so wrong. And that drive, that nasty moment of a psychiatrist who, bro, I earn what he earns in a year in a day. Okay. And I'm proud to say that. I walked out of there and said, I'm going to turn all my problems into my assets. And I believe that today. I believe if you have the propensity or the gift to be obsessed with something, to have an addictive type of personality where you drop into something and you can't quit thinking about it. These are the attributes that make successful people. Okay, unsuccessful people medicate their problems away, and the successful people lean into it. They literally figure out how to take that liability, if you will, if it is a liability, that disability, if it's a disability, and turn it into an ability and a gift.
That's really good. So in talking about that, there's two forms. There's this study done by Morgan Kringelbach and Kent Berridge talking about the two different forms of motivation, one being hedonic impact of goal directed. So you're setting your goals. That's what you're motivated for. You're talking about you had that spark from that psychiatrist that set it off. There's also the point of homeostasis. That's the need. It's threat avoidance. So there's two, goal directed versus threat avoidant. Now, when you're talking about that, do you feel like your drive is more goal directed, threat avoidant, or is it a mixture of both?
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of both. So I am not pleasure driven. I am much more, I'm trying to avoid some situation from happening to me. I actually mock these up. I also know athletes that do this at the top of the game. Michael Jordan talked about it. Kobe talked about it. Tom Brady, I did an interview with Tom. Tom talked about, to me, creating scenarios that maybe aren't even true in order to drive an individual to a destination. And I think everybody has the ability. Like if I can put you under enough threat, you're either going to submit and ball up and become a victim, or you're going to become a fighter. Now I've developed a fighter in me. My dad died when I was 10 years old. And my dad was a bit of he was the example. He had been the example actually for all his brothers, his father, his grandparents. He had broken out. And when he died, when I was 10 years old, he was 52, he died. The mythology of what he had created, breaking into the middle class, being the first Cardone to do that. I watched this happen and I watched the whole demystification of his creation, that it actually had not worked for him, because when it worked for him, but it didn't work for his wife and his kids because his income stopped. And that became a threat in the environment. Every bad thing that has ever happened to me, I'm not talking about trauma bonding here or trauma education or learning from failure, because I don't believe that that's the best way to learn. The best way to learn, my best learning comes from learning from successful actions, not unsuccessful. But I realized watching my dad, when he died, there was no income. And at 10 years old, I was getting real money lessons. And the money lessons are that if you can't work, you don't get income. The education system is to educate us how to work, to earn income, to pay taxes, to plan for retirement, to spend money and then die. And like at 12 years old, bro, I knew, The whole thing was demystified for me at 12 or 13 years old, where I was like, oh no, you need to earn income. You don't have any of your own money. You need to get income from people. People have money, you don't. And you need to take that money and you need to put it into stations or silos or machines where you can produce income even when you're not working. Because I wanted to break the cycle of poverty. Now you're asking me, what am I driven by? I was not driven by pleasure. I was driven by, I want to avoid this mistake my dad made. I do not want this on my time frame. And all my success, in fact, my investments in real estate, I got about $5 billion invested in real estate today. It's all driven. I do not want painful moments. I'm not interested in losses, trauma, drama. You know, I'm proud of the number of people that we fired in our company. We get rid of a lot of people. I don't want it. I don't want losers around me. And I learned that when I was 25 years old, dude. I was a drug addict for 10 years, from 15 years old to 25. It was a terrible part of my life. And so I've been cutting stuff out since I was 25. For 41 years, I've learned how to cut out problems and get rid of stuff that might have a bad ending.
Grant, what I hear in that too, you're talking about the game within the game. You're creating what Kobe and Jordan would do, creating scenarios that are going to intrinsically motivate you even more. I love it that you hit on success is the motivation, as opposed to, you know, people throw around, oh, failure is the greatest motivator. I think failure is a way to learn, but success equals motivation. I know Jordan and Kobe talked on that a lot, but I want to double down on what you said is, one of the main reasons people aren't driven is because of that cultural, social threat of you have to make money, but they give you just enough freedom to where the point where you think you might break free, but you're chained forever until you make that decision that you did to be like, screw it, I'm not living by other people's rules.
Yeah, dude. This adage in Billions where the guy says, I want fuck you money. You know, that's the kind of money I want. I want to be able to say, fuck you, here's your money back. I don't want to do business with you. Or I buy something and it becomes a mistake. I'm like, throw it away. Like, I want to be in that position. I want my family in that position. I do not want to be stuck with a bad decision. Now, that being said, you're not going to get fuck you money making bad decisions repeatedly. You know, the most powerful thing in the world is not money, by the way. It is the ability to know I can make a decision and it's going to be the right one 90% of the time. So this idea, this meme that goes around, you know, oh, I've learned more from failure. Everybody tells you that once they have their yacht. But you're seeing them at the end of the cycle, not in the cycle. Because the truth is the guy might have learned more from failing than succeeding, but he became who he is because he succeeded more than he failed. So it's a beautiful meme. It's a great greeting card, but it's bullshit in real life.
Yeah.
You know, Steve Jobs said when he was done, oh man, if I could just have more time, the money, I'd be a different man. But he already had the money. Bill Gates said it wasn't about money, but he was already worth 80 billion. Warren Buffett said it's not about the money, but he's got 277 billion in cash today. So, you know, I'm just saying to you guys, like, the payoff needs to be big enough. I think most people quit and can't find the motivation, not because they're lazy. I don't believe lazy is actually inherent in the human psyche. I think it is imposed, educated, learned, and promoted.
Totally agree.
That we're actually, oh, I'm lazy. Yeah, I'm lazy too. Okay, but maybe you're not, because if I put a fire in your bedroom right now, I'd find out you're not lazy at all. Unless you're ready to die, you're going to get up, jump out the window, and do something courageous.
Well, you know, I want to ask this question the right way, and I think it's about the opening of people's eyes, and I think it's the next generation. We'll have a lot of young listeners who want to be entrepreneurs, and just your ability to open people's eyes to the truth has been amazing and bold and absolutely powerful. How do you think that we can continue to open people's eyes?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not really trying to open anybody's eyes. I know mine are open and I'm willing to lose people. I had a banker in my office recently. We were working on this deal and he left my office, walked back in and says, I got to ask you a question. Man, you put a lot of stuff on social media that turns people off. I said, okay. He's like, how do you make sense of the amount of positions you take? You take political positions, You take very uncomfortable positions that people don't want to talk about. Like you literally, people know exactly where you stand when you're against something. And he's like, what's your thinking? I said, well, one, I'm thinking that I'm free. And if I'm not going to exercise my freedom, I'm not free. And number two, it's a net gain for me. Okay. I don't do anything where there's a net loss. I don't invest in anything where there's a net loss ever. Now, it could be friends, family, business, real estate, advertising, marketing, podcasts, workouts. I don't do anything where there's a net loss ever, never. Like, and so, my most valuable asset is not the real estate or my name or my brand or the money or any of that. It is my ability to exercise freedom. And so the more I post my position, the more I have to defend that to make it right. Or I need to say, oh shit, man, I messed up on that one. And I'm not right on everything. I can change my mind. Totally. Also, a free person would change their mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that shows maturity and ultimate leadership is if you're open to being wrong, you're open to feedback. But I think one of the greatest points on this high performance mindset of drive is you're not scared of the results. You're not taking dumb risks. You're taking very strategic, planned opportunities, but you're not afraid of the results. So there's not something holding you back and saying, hey, don't take this chance based on if you go X, Y is going to happen. And I feel like that's something very intrinsic. There's two types, obviously. Extrinsic, which has its basis. This is what's called the self-determination theory. Are you extrinsic? Are you intrinsic? There's different, baselines for each in competence, relatedness, what other people are going to think of you. For the extrinsic, the intrinsic is more, there's an appetite phase. This is the wanting. There's a consumatory phase. This is the liking, the satiatory phase. This is the learning and growing. Would you say that you use both? Do you use more intrinsic? Do you use any extrinsic?
Probably don't use much of the X.
I don't think you do.
Now on the intrinsic, and I don't really even know these terms, right? You're much more educated,
No.
But dude, look, I make things go right. Okay. Now in everything else I do in my career, I have every partnership that I have. I'm part of 24 companies. I either started it, founded it, partnered in it, or I have a major position in it. I am going to control the direction and the outcome. I'm going to push. I'm not bragging about this. I have developed this muscle. I think everybody has this muscle. Like everybody's got abs. In America, you have a 7-time better chance of being a millionaire than you do of actually having physically. You can see abs.
Yeah, the 6-pack. Yeah.
Like even a 4-pack, dude. Like a 2-pack, right? You have a 7-time greater likelihood of becoming a millionaire. And so, but I know this. Everybody has abs, right? You just can't see them because you don't work them. Everybody's got biceps. Everybody's got pecs. Everybody has this thing that you're talking about, this ability to push through until you see it happen and make it go right. This is what I have. I have this superpower.
Yeah, you do.
That my wife will tell you this, dude, once the guy gets on it, it is like, get out of the way. He's not going to stop. He could be wrong. You could literally drag me through town with a chain around my neck. And I remember when I was a kid, I was 15 years old. We went to this place on Friday nights and everybody was drinking and doing crazy stuff in high school, and this one kid, every Friday night he would get in a fight and he'd get his ass whooped, but he would never quit fighting. And this went on for 2 or 3 Friday nights, dude. And by the 4th Friday night, every fight he lost. By the 4th Friday night, nobody wanted to fuck with him.
Jeez.
Because he was the guy that just kept getting up. I learned a lot from that. I remember I spent some time on a boat with a guy. He had just cashed out a business and made $4 billion. And his one piece of advice to me was, Grant, if you pick something you can control and you never quit on it, you cannot fail. You're going to have to shift. You're going to have to change. You're going to have to change your mind and change your actions. But if you don't quit, you will see it through.
That is one of the most powerful statements you can make there. And you talked about it earlier. It's that addictive and obsessed. I think that's been spun in a negatory light in society, but it's really not. It's how you use it correctly. And that is a superpower for sure.
Well, if it's negative, if it's negative, you can medicate it. You got something to sell it to. But if you guys would just take it as a gift and not seek to medicate it, because look, they tried to put me on everything.
You can't tell me once you're put on medication that the reason being isn't they want to keep you on medication. Medicating is not to say, hey, we're working on making you better, getting you healthier. Probably another whole podcast episode in itself. But I think one of your superpowers as well is a good friend of mine coaches the Miami Heat, Eric Spoelstra, one of the top coaches in NBA history. And he told me once after they lost in the finals, I was like, yeah, it's got to be tough to bounce back from that, right? He's like, no, it's not as hard to come back after you lose in the finals as it is after you win the championship. And it's what I call the sustaining greatness. And in looking at your career, man, you've been able to do that. It's not a 1 year, 2 year, it's a lifetime of what you've done. And I don't think people look at this enough, right? Like the longevity of it's amazing. Is there anything you do in this term of, man, I'm going to sustain this greatness?
Bro, I have done, I don't know, a couple hundred podcasts. I have never had anyone say that piece right there. Mm-hmm. That's probably what I'm most proud of is the ability to, I'm going to have more seasons than Eric. I'll have more seasons of winning than Eric in the Miami Heat.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm in a sector, I'm in a lane where you can be 103 years old and still win. You can't do that in basketball. Nope. And so I also agree with what Eric said about it's harder when you're successful than it is when you're beat down. When you're beat down and once you've built this kind of thing, this thing inside of you, my daughter calls it the dog. Once you've been in public and been humiliated and decided I cannot live like this, and then you get up, that Terminator kind of, I'll be back. Like once you develop that, dude, you have it forever. That's the beautiful thing. You cannot develop that if you're medicated, by the way. You can't develop if you're medicated. You can't develop it if you're around losers. You cannot develop it if you're around people that are satisfied. And you're probably once you develop it, by the way, you're not going to have a bunch of people around you. You're not going to have, because they ain't getting up.
Yeah.
So if you look at some of the most successful people on the planet, whether you go back to Jesus, all the way to present time heroes, right? Most of those guys are kind of lonely. They don't have big posses with them. And so I would say it's much more difficult when you're successful to do it again. That is a reboot. It is a refiguring. It is it's wipe off your ego because, that'll hold you back. And I gotta play some kind of game with myself that says, okay, you ain't shit, bro. Get up and do something again. And the way I do that is I trick myself again. I basically self-impose all the people around me telling me I'm doing great. I basically start looking up above in the food chain. I look above me to be like, okay, what can I grow up to be? To almost become very critical of my current situation. Like that's why critics don't bother me. You guys, people that hate on me never bother me because, first of all, I don't respond to your admiration either. So if your admiration doesn't get me, your criticisms can't either. And I criticize myself more than anyone will ever be able to. You could give me $10 billion today and I'd be like, yeah, but Ken's got 58. So I'm gonna be like, okay, until I get to Ken or Jeff and look, for me, there is no, like, for those guys that are watching right now, the audience is like, yeah, but when are you satisfied? I'm never going to be satisfied. I don't have no interest in being happy or satisfied. Man. I want to be hungry. I want to be a grinder. I want to be driving. I want to be driven. I don't want to be complacent. I don't want to be happy. I don't want to sit, dude. I want to roll. I want to kill myself, my knees, my ankles. I want to hurt. I want to feel life and I want to experience what that next discovery of Grant is.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's so much gold in there. Grant, I think that dog is exactly that. That is the sustaining greatness factor in you. And and you hit on another point too that I think people really need to hear is Eric Spoelstra also said he was at his lowest moment when he won his first NBA championship, thinking that was going to be the thing that filled him his mountaintop. And you just said it, there is no end. Even when I make 100 billion, 500 billion, I'm going to keep going because you love the exhilarating journey of constant growth that you're in. And it's very apparent, man. So your fuel, the dog, and just the ability to know that you have neuroplasticity where now when I say sustaining greatness, it's like, dude, that's just who I am. Like, what do you talk? Like, who wouldn't be that way? Your brain has now formed to the fact of like, that's your norm. Other people, they don't get it. You're on a different level than them.
Well, I think everybody has the potential to do this because, I mean, what's given the brain ideas, right? My brain's a piece of meat. It's you know, who's feeding the brain ideas? This is not enough. You can do better. Who's that? That's the real potential I'm interested in because the way I understand it, my brain, like my finger, something's directing the finger.
Yeah.
And so the potential of man is in the spirit. And it's like, you know, unfortunately in our society today, dude, we have a lot of people putting blankets on the spirit.
Oof.
You know, are you he, she, what's your label? Dude, don't label me, man. Okay. Yeah. I've had people tell me I'm short. I'm like, bro, what are you looking at? Okay. He's only 5'8". I'm at 51,000 feet on a plane. What are you talking about? Okay. And take me out of my plane. My imagination is not 5'8". My ability to come up with an idea. I'm going to fill a stadium up. I'm going to fill the Miami Marlins Stadium up with 36,000 people. There have never been that many people in that stadium. Derek Jeter, Eric, the Miami Heat, the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Marlins couldn't fill up that stadium, and I did by myself. So like, I'm not confined to a physical unit.
Yep.
You know, I am not what I look like. I am not my height. I'm not my weight. I am a spiritual being capable of running probably the most significant and impactful, never created again computer in the world, which is the brain.
100%, man. You've just eliminated any type of limitations and glass ceilings that people place upon themselves. Grant, this has been phenomenal to say the least. I think you've built one of the most impactful, you know, just like changes people's lives when they get on to 10X and start following you and hearing you, just the way that you're able to say what people want to say without having that fear. So, man, where can you just give a quick note? I think everybody knows you, knows where to find you, but anything in that front you want to drop in, and then I'll hit you with the last question, man.
No, I mean, you know, if you have trouble, it's not your responsibility. You guys that want to find me, you'll find me. If not, I'll find you. I'll find you. But you know, if you don't want to find me, you're probably going to still run into me somewhere now. You know, I'm 66 years old, man. The best parts of my life are in front of me, and I'm going to help a lot of people in the next 30 or 40 years. As long as I'm living, I'm going to help people, and I'm going to be an example. I'm going to be a big, loud voice piece for people to create success, more success, to be hungry, to find their way. And the people that are listening today, there's guys out listening right now, guys and gals listening to this right now that will do more than I ever dreamed of doing. And you will accomplish more. And when you get there, you're going to want to help other people. Like, you're going to want to do exactly what I'm doing with you right now.
Absolutely. And you're not even to your most influential stage. There's been studies that say 68 to 75, your most influential years. So the best is yet to come.
Let's go.
Speaking of that, Grant, what is next? Let's hear how twofold. What is next for you? What are you juiced up about? And you don't have to answer this, but what do you think is coming next in this world? Where are we a year from now? Do you want to predict that?
Okay, well, let me do the prediction first. I'll do the prediction on, you know,
okay.
What is it? What's the date? August? What are we?
August 5th, August 6th, one of those.
Yeah, they'll probably World War III this year.
Okay. Nice.
There'll be another assassination on Donald Trump.
Woo!
An assassination attempt.
Yep.
The stock market will roll over. We'll see 3,300 on the S&P 500. That's 2,000 points from where it is today. We'll have a couple hundred bank failures in the United States and a couple pension funds. I've been saying that for years. It's going to be nasty, bro. Like AI is going to wipe out a whole bunch of jobs here in the next 3 to 5 years. That people that have been in the restaurant business or the service industry or the clothing industry, those jobs that can be replaced with AI will be replaced. And people need to get their shit together right now. You guys that have your hand out for government, any kind of government dole, you're fucked forever. Yep. Okay, you're a prisoner of a system. The government will never give you more than they will only give you enough to be dependent. They will never give you your freedom. The moment they give you 40 acres and a mule will be the moment they start taxing mules and 40 acres heavier. Like, they're not going to give you anything more than another trap. Okay, this is a trap. It is a mouse trap. And so what am I going to do about it, dude? I'm buying real assets in bulk. I got $5 billion worth of real estate. In the next 15 years, I will become the largest real estate owner in America. And you can hold me to this, just fast forward in the next 10 or 15 years. I will do that and democratize the investment, institutional quality real estate with regular everyday people. This has never been done at scale before without using Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Vanguard, BlackRock, Blackstone, State Street, or any of these freaking mafia organizations. Yeah. I'm going to get the money and the property back into the hands of regular people. Cardone Capital will become a bank of significant proportions. We're not there yet, but we will get there. I'm just making predictions now. And, I love it, man. I like what you said, bro. The best is yet to come. And people will not even know me. When I die, they won't know me for what most people know me for today. Like, there'll be a complete transition from me being a sales guy and a marketing guy and a promotion guy and a real estate guy to me becoming something else.
Of course, man. It's very apparent from the outside looking in, you're having worldly impact on the biggest scale possible. And, I might throw your name in the hat for president 28, 32, 36. Well, like, if you're getting right in balance, bro, it's coming from me, Grant.
I need a lot more bricks than I got right now.
Dude, you're the best. Hey, thanks for coming on, man. It's very, very knowledgeable, inspirational, and just really appreciate you, man. And all
appreciate you, brother.